So we are going to edit some drum beats and learn how to cut and count. And I'm going to try and stay upbeat so you don't get too relaxed by my soothing voice. So we have 4 songs. Don't play them all at once because it sounds like this. All right, so I'm going to start with the first one. Take Me to the Mardi Gras by Bob James. All right, sounds like that. One thing that I want to always reiterate, you want to edit audio in slip mode because there is no relative grid. We don't know what the tempo is. The session currently is at 120, but it has no relationship to any of this music. Plus, look at this. There's almost half a measure of silence. So we're just going to listen. So this is beat 1 of a kick drum, the kick drum beat 1. This is kind of a little drum fill into it. So we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. One of the things that I kind of always want to say, and it's, I know that you can count until 4. I want you to think about counting through 4 up until 5. But right before 5 is where we're going to cut our audio. So the reason we want to be in slip mode is so that we can place our cursor accurately. Next thing, up over here, I'm turning on and off what's called the tab to transients function. We want to keep it on. And tab to transients allows us to hit the tab key on the keyboard and advance to the next spike in amplitude or volume. Those spikes are called transients. So again, we're going to listen. Here is our first kick drum. So I'm going to place my cursor just to the left of it, and I'm going to hit my tab key. See, it doesn't always work until I get right up to it. All right, I check, I listen, I hit Command E. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So this is the next beat 1. I want to get right up to it so that I have a complete 4 counts, 4 quarter notes, or 1 measure. 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect loop, okay? Now, there are other sections of this that I can use. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So there's my kick drum on beat 1 of the next measure. Open hi-hat here. I'm going to use this ultimately. I would definitely think about using that. I like the open hi-hat. And this little drum fill, I definitely might hold on to for later as a transitional thing at some other point as I'm developing a song, for example. And I think we're going to do some of that. So this is going to be my first drum beat. I'm going to double click on it with the grabber tool. And I'm going to call this Drums 1 Bob James, Take Me to the Mardi Gras. All right. And then I'm going to mute it and I'm going to listen to the Funkadelic track. Our first kick drum is right here. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so again, I place my cursor just ahead of the kick drum that I identified. Hit Tab, Command E. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, this is the next kick drum, or the downbeat. Be careful with things like this. Ba-boom. That's a pickup. That comes before the downbeat. And we want it to be part of our loop, but we don't want it at the front end of it. 2, 3, 4. Okay. Another very cool little drum fill that I might hold on to for later. So I am going to call this Drums 2 Funkadelic. Just want to see if this one sounds cool. Nah, I'll stay with this one. It is cool, but I'll stay with this one for the assignment. Next, the Incredible Bongo Band. This actually is one of the most sampled, or one of the original breakbeats. But I don't want to get stuck thinking that it only happens at the beginning of songs. And this will be helpful as you move ahead looking for stuff on your own. I can tell that this is full band here. Like, it's just, the waveform is pretty full and static. And then I start to see some transients over here. And even more over here. So that's where the drum breakdown happens again. Zooming in always helps. It looks like this is our first kick drum of that pattern. Tab, cut. All right, so this one's a little bit harder because it doesn't have like a solid kick drum at the end of the pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. All right, so I think it's right here. I wonder if I can. Yeah, no, I think that is it. It sounds good. 2, 3, 4. Yeah. All right, so yes, we're going to use this one from the middle here. Zooming back in, I'm going to double click, call this Drums 3 Incredible Bongo Band. Apache. All right, and for this purpose, I'm going to grab this and move it over. I'm going to grab all this other stuff and delete it. And I'm going to grab all this stuff and delete it. Something that's always worth remembering is that any of those deletions I just made, it's all non-destructive. So I can always open it up. It's not as though I just lost everything. I'm going to hold on to these drum fills, though. I want those to be visible. And the last one, Led Zeppelin, When the Levee Breaks. Classic. 2, 3, 4. So we can really only use that first half because that harmonica comes in before the downbeat. So tab to transients. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. I'm actually going to show you what the most common mistake is here. Usually, people will cut on 4 instead of after 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and they'll cut right here. 2, 1, 2, 3, 1. So that's really only 3 beats. It might sound like it works, but it really doesn't. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we have 3 perfect loops. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to name this one Drums 4 Led Zeppelin When the Levee Breaks. I'm going to move these over, and I'll explain why. It's not even that important, but at this point, what we want to do is we need to export these as individual WAV files. I already showed you that, so this is just an image. What we need are WAV files that we can use in our session. So I'm going to highlight all of these. Actually, how is that going to work? No. They're different sizes. If they were all on the same track, I could do this. But that's all right. Doesn't matter. I'm going to come over here to the clip list. And I'm going to export clips as files. If you don't see the clip list, it might be because that little arrow is not pointing out. I'm going to come to export clips as files. I'm going to make sure that I'm exporting waves, that they are interleaved, which means stereo. If it says multi-mono, you're going to get two files. It's not going to work right. 24-bit 48 is good. That's what my session is set to, and I'm going to choose the location. I do not want these going to the audio files folder. That becomes messy because you will have every file in there. I already have the whole songs, so I want my bits and pieces to be elsewhere. So I'm going to make a new folder here. I'm going to call it samples. That is my workflow, to always have kind of a sample folder within my session. And I'm going to hit open, and that just tells this hierarchy to end in the samples folder. You do not need to do this for every time we export something. However, if you reopen the session, you will need to reestablish this hierarchy the next time you do it. I just exported that one. I'm going to highlight this one. I'm going to export it. I am going with that I do not need to unmute these, and I hope that I am right. I'm not sure I've ever done that. Okay, we'll find out soon enough. So we're done with these. We exported all 4 of these drum beats. Let me see, should I get, let's do that later. All right, so I'm going to hide these tracks. Make sure that you mute them, because if you hide them, I'll just do that. If you hide them and you don't mute them, you're still going to hear them. So you want to make sure that you mute them, because you will call me over and you will say, why do I still hear it? And I'll say, because you didn't mute it. All right, so I'm going to make 4 stereo instrument tracks. I'm going to call this drums 1, drums 2, drums 3. Take a guess. Drums 4. I'm going to insert my contact 7 in drums 1. Awkward silence, awkward pause. I'm not editing it. So let's see. It is 3:39 on Thursday. Actually, you could probably tell that it's 3:40. Some of you are probably off to basketball practice. Maybe there's a soccer game. Why is this taking so long? I don't want to start over. Okay. Libraries, we go to files. We're going to find on our desktops, we're going to find sampling drum loops right here. I'm going to go into the samples folder. I see 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, I like that you keep the names of the songs and the artists, because you need to be able to attribute them. I'll be asking you that later, but not for this. Remember, we got to get out of Omni, so port A number 1. Get out of chain in, so drums 1, individual targets 1. I'm going to drag in Funkadelic. Get out of Omni, make it 2. Output stereo 2. Drums 1, MIDI output selector channel 2. Plug in output 2. Drums 3. Plug in 3. I didn't even make a third one yet though. Stereo output 3. Omni becomes port A number 3. Drums 1. Well, drums 4, I should say. Plug in 4. And Led Zeppelin. 4 and port A number 4. Okay, so should I make a mistake or should I just do it? All right, so each of these are a measure. I'm going to make a mistake because mistakes are fun. I'm going to go to the MIDI editor. I am going to place my pencil on drums 1. And I'm going to draw in a measure. Why am I at measure 6? I'm going to draw in a measure. Okay, I'm going to draw in a measure this time. I must be in 64th notes. Don't like that. All right, so I'm going to draw in my measure. I'm going to bring up my velocities because I want it good and loud. Now I'm going to place my pencil on drums 2, and I'm doing this on D3. That's totally arbitrary. And I'm going to draw in another measure. Actually, let's do it from measure 1. Why not? I'm going to go to drums 3, draw it in on D3. 1 measure. Then I'm going to go to drums 4. 1 measure. All right, so we have nothing over there. We have 1 measure everywhere. Let's listen. I like that. It's horrible, but there's one little piece I like, but I can't explain it. I did not put our samples into Time Machine. So I'm going to hit my wrench on Bob James. I'm going to go to the Wave Editor, Sync and Slice, Time Machine Pro. Close up the wrench. Wave Editor, Sync and Slice, Time Machine Pro. Close. 3. Wrench, Wave Editor, Sync and Slice, Time Machine Pro. Close. You get it. I hope. So now I'm also going to change my tempo from 120 to 90. Okay, they all work. I'm going to go back into grid mode because what I want to do is set these up to play not all together, but one after the other in a musical way. I said a musical way. I meant a sequential way. I don't find that too musical. They're totally, I would never do something like this. But I wanted you to practice editing drums. I wanted you to practice getting them into contact. I wanted you to practice making sure that they're synced to the tempo of your session using Time Machine. So what you're going to do is you're going to take these 4 measures. You're going to bounce it out, put it up on canvas. There you have it.